New England's cold case list is long. In Maine alone, over 100 homicide victims and missing persons still await justice and answers. The decades-old files are pushed to the side as more recent cases soak up investigative resources. Then there are names that aren't even listed, unsolved cases that close without answers. A conviction is not really the end, not for the surviving families and friends at the heart of these stories. They take the search for answers into their own hands and turn loss into action. It's one of the most breathtaking displays of strength I've ever seen. But as I've heard again and again, they don't have any other choice. If you've driven through the western counties of Maine any time over the last 35 years, you've likely seen Kimberly Moreau's face. Each year, her father hangs posters with the photo of his smiling daughter on telephone poles, hoping someday someone will dial his number with the answers he's been seeking since the day she went missing on a dark evening in 1986. She is the most recognizable missing person from the state of Maine. Yet, like all missing persons cases, it is her family that keeps Kim's memory and her humanity alive. All the attention and social media is kept aflame for one reason, and one reason only, in the hopes that someone, somewhere, knows something about Kim's disappearance and will be moved to come forward. All that the family asks is that their beloved daughter and sister be brought home. My name is Kylie Lowe. I have made it my mission to document and share the seldom heard stories of the families of missing and murdered victims throughout New England. Families like the Moreaus and countless others. Families who want to be heard so that their loved ones are never forgotten. How many secrets can a town like Jay, Maine hold? In the case of Kimberly Moreau's disappearance, it's decades worth. Why would a girl who was in love with her high school sweetheart break up with him the day before their junior prom and skip the event? Why would the local police put off investigating her disappearance for 4 months? And why are the individuals who may know what happened and where Kim is determined to take that information to their graves? After so much time has passed, some people ask why the Moreaus won't just give up their search. Their answer always remains the same.
We've been told, even as recently as to now, why are you still looking for her? Can't you guys just give it up? You know she's not around. And it's like, no.
That's what we got to emphasize to every family. Never give up. You tell the stories. You got to be the voice for the missing. These names are not just names.
They're people.
They're people that deserve justice.
For these families, the search never ends. It continues in person, through social media, and even through the power of podcasting. When I began the Dark Downeast podcast, I set out with one goal in mind: to give the families of missing victims a chance to have their sides of the story told. For a family like the Moreaus, who were told for so long not to go to the press with their story, it's the chance to bring Kim back into the global conversation. They don't want the world to forget that their daughter and sister existed, but they also don't want those listening to forget that what happened to their family could happen to anyone.
Nobody expected what was going to happen to my family.
No. Nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to their family. And unfortunately, it does.
Kimberly Moreau started her junior year at Jay High School in the fall of 1985. She wanted to be a model, and she had her eye on the crown at the Miss Maine competition.
She'd walk in the room. She wanted people to notice she's in the room. And with her status, because she was over 5'7", 135 pounds, she was a very beautiful young lady, and she'd walk in the room and she'd turn around and she'd draw her attention. And she enjoyed that attention.
Everything seemed normal, at least at first.
When she started hanging around with Rhonda, I think that's when I lost a lot of touch with her, and I didn't realize that she was going in the wrong direction.
Kim's family told me that Rhonda Breton ran with a different crowd, not the usual friends Kim grew up with. The 80s were the days before texting and social media, but Kim and her new friend Rhonda Breton stayed in touch, swapping notes during school. There's mention of parties, the boys they were dating. Kim was going steady with a boy named Mike Staples. Kim wrote in her diary about Mike, "I care about him more than I have ever cared about anyone." But 2 short weeks later, a fight changed everything. May 10th, 1986. It would have been junior prom night, but Kim wasn't going. Things had been rocky with her boyfriend Mike Staples, and a big fight the day before made Kim call off their plans to attend the dance. Instead, she spent the day with Rhonda. Kim stopped home just briefly later that night.
I was the last one to talk to Kim that night. It was about 11 o'clock at night. I was sitting on the couch, and just like any other night, Kim came to say hi to me, check in, tell me where she was, and that, "Hey sis, I'll be back in an hour."
It was the last time that anyone in Kim's family saw her. 3 hours later, her parents arrived home from a function at the VFW to find Kim's bed empty.
It was almost 2 o'clock by the time we got done doing everything we had to do, and then we got home and no Kim. Well, come 3 o'clock, she still isn't home. Now I'm starting to worry. So I woke up her sister, Karen, and I says, "Where is Kim?" "Dad, I don't know." She says she come home. She was home for about 20 minutes. She took her jacket off. It was 38 degrees. All she had on was a short sleeve blouse and jeans with those new white high top sneakers. Come 5 o'clock in the morning, I says, "Something has happened. Let's go to the police station, because something is definitely wrong."
Richard's encounter with the Jay police did not go like he expected. They refused to take a statement until 48 hours later, and even then, Richard says they still mismanaged his report.
The officer said, "She's only a runaway, she's done this before." I said, "No, she has never done this."
You'd think that a missing person, a missing child, in small-town western Maine would have garnered immediate media attention. But according to Richard Moreau's own notes, he and his wife were told not to go to the press by the local police. The local task force eventually admitted the investigation was more than they could handle. After months of searching on their own, the Moreaus finally got an audience with a state police detective.
He came in for a cup of coffee at 9:30 in the morning. He never left there till after 7 o'clock that night. He was convinced at that point, no, she is not a runaway.
Finally, the Sheriff's Department listed Kimberly Moreau on the National Crime Information Center Index. That's also when the first posters went up around town and across the world.
First flyers that I ever printed, I was working at International Paper Company. I talked to all the shipping crews, and we made up a whole bunch of flyers for them. Now, we literally have them going around the world. And I says, "Well, little girl, you got to go around the world, but that's an awful sad way to do it."
Much of what the family knows about the night of May 10th, 1986, has been pieced together and assembled like a giant jigsaw puzzle. Only, they don't know what the final picture will be. According to detailed notes kept by the family, a witness saw Kim and a man named Calvin Tidswell earlier that day at a favorite hangout for Jay and Livermore Falls teenagers.
Supposedly Kim was over at the Monkey Bridge, what they call, and it's train trestle is what it is. Supposedly they met Calvin Tidswell. Some people said that they saw her arguing with him that day.
The family also learned that two older men, Darren Jowdry and Brian Enman, picked up Rhonda and Kim from a park in Livermore Falls sometime that afternoon. Though Darren owned the car, it was Brian who drove the white Monte Carlo the day Kim disappeared.
This was the first time that we can find out that Kim had ever met Brian Emmons.
Years later, Brian Enman told Kim's father that he dropped her off down the hill from her home and that she walked the rest of the way back. But this story doesn't add up for Richard.
Kim was absolutely afraid of the dark. When she got ready to come home, she called, "Turn the light on, wait for me on the porch." Supposedly, Brian dropped her off by the War Memorial down here in Chisholm Square, which is near the Catholic Church. I can't ever buy that, because I know the way she was about it. She always told me, "Dad, we don't know what's out there at night."
Kim's parents weren't alone in asking questions. Her sisters Diane and Karen questioned anyone that was in Kim's circle. This led Karen and her now husband Bob directly into the path of Darren Jowdry, the owner of the car Kim got into. He was spotted in the parking lot of a pizza place called Rosie's.
I looked over and asked, "Where is Kim?" And he says, "I don't know any Kimberly." And I said, "Yes, you do. She was with Rhonda Saturday night." And he instantly got really angry. Oh, was that her name? That still bothers me because it made me feel like he knew Kim was dead.
What about Rhonda Breton, Kim's best friend? The family hoped to someday get answers out of Rhonda, but that will never happen. In 2009, Rhonda Breton was killed in a hit-and-run accident in California. Any information that she knew about Kim's whereabouts was taken to her grave.
Rhonda betrayed her because after Kim went missing, Rhonda's story was we were just acquaintances. And the last 6 months of Kim's life, she spent almost every day with Rhonda.
Both the Maine State Police and the Moreau family have conducted searches for Kimberly Moreau in the last 35 years. In 2015, state police dug up property belonging to Brian Enman, but they found nothing. In 2019, state police excavated a concrete slab, once part of a vegetable stand owned by the family of Calvin Tidswell. They found nothing. Each time they search, Richard, Diane, and Karen balance feelings of hope and fear.
Even though you want her found, to be the person out there looking is the scariest thing in the world. Without us doing it, it doesn't get done. We do what we gotta do because we want her home.
In her absence, Kim's belongings have become the tangible proof of her existence, of her humanity.
This picture here, for instance, is a picture of the three of us girls when we were very, very little. And this is one of my favorites. Look how cute she was. I mean, just look at that face. How can you not love her?
This is my sister's purse. Kim would not have just walked away without grabbing her purse.
We just left everything just the way it was because we thought she was going to eventually come home. We just want anybody who can help any family. Might not have to be ours, but if you have answers to help somebody, please do what you can.
I'm going to keep going. I will get Kim home one way or another. I have promised so many people that I'm going to do this. I want to do it for all the other families in the state that turns around and has a loved one missing. Maybe it'll give them some hope that says, hey, this is happening with the Morrows. Maybe it can happen to us.
There is always hope that Kim will be found. When that day comes, Richard knows exactly what he's going to do.
I've got to go around and take down all these posters. When that comes down, I'm going to the bar and I'm going to order a drink and I'm going to toast my daughter.
Until then, the search continues.
Just remember, we're doing a 10,000 piece puzzle here. And slowly, every time you can put in one more piece, you're that much closer to bringing it to an end.
If you have information that could bring Kimberly Moreau home, call the Maine State Police Major Crimes Unit. I do not take lightly the trust that the Moreau family has put in me to tell Kimberly Moreau's story. It's because of that trust I continue my mission to help Maine and New England families honor the legacy of their loved ones and seek answers in cold missing persons and homicide cases. I'm not about to let those names or their stories get lost with time. I'm Kylie Lowe, and this is Dark Downeast.